So it is 6 o'clock. We do have a quorum. If everybody could just remember to put their phones on silence. We'll go ahead and get started. Mr. Chapa will lead us in the pledge, and then Leo will do the mission statement.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
honor and
Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Board mission statement. Through high expectations and equitable opportunity, TMISD will focus on the whole child by providing a safe environment and high-quality curriculum with diverse and enriching experiences.
Any public statement?
No.
All right. We'll jump into our action items. Got a lot of exciting things happening tonight. So the first one is going to be discuss and consider approval of a donation from the TM Education Foundation in the amount of $61,326.
Mr. President, members of the board, we're honored by our foundation's presence. And Melinda, I think you've got some good news.
I do.
Would you join us?
I'll be more than happy to do that.
And tomorrow's a big day.
Tomorrow. That's exciting, sir. That is a highly held secret.
It's supposed to be a secret?
Yes.
I do that all the time.
But nobody's gonna watch a board meeting until tomorrow anyway.
Yeah.
Tell David not to put that on there.
Edit it out.
Strike that for
Let's start over.
For those of you who don't know me, which I cannot see a single person in here that doesn't, but my name is Melinda Gomez Arriaga, and I'm president of the TMISD Education Foundation. I've been on this board of directors for close to 13 years now, and I'm very happy to announce that in my hand, this tiny little thing right here is a gigantic check to help out all of our amazing staff here. This is a check for $61,326. Fund 19 grants that were requested this grant cycle. There's at least one in every campus. And now that the cat is out of the bag, we will be presenting these grants tomorrow in our typical Education Foundation style, and that is in style. We have multiple board members here today, and including our executive director, Nikki Horman. So if y'all want to join me up here, because this is not done by one person alone. This is not done by one fundraiser alone. This is not done by one popcorn sale or anything. This takes all year long. This is our money working for us in safe places that bring back high yields. This is us doing whatever we can to encourage people to donate, including our staff. And we're always looking for ways to make people know about who we are and what we do. And our primary function is to help our staff, all of our teachers, whoever wants a grant, we want to give it to you. So please encourage your educators, first-timers, 30-year veterans, that there's money out there and we want to give it to them. We want to keep TM on the cusp of innovation. The other day I was here at the campus and I was getting my nails done at the salon. They did a great job. The Glam Salon. I was there and I was walking out and I was looking at the construction in the front of the school, and I was thinking about how it doesn't seem that long ago where you said, Miss Arriaga, I'm going to do this interview with Channel 6 about the football field and I want you to come and talk to them. And we talked about what the vision you had, not only for athletics, but for TMISD. And watching it come into fruition has been amazing, amazing.
Thank you.
And to think about how it's here for generations to come. And one thing that we said on the interview was that the things we were doing at that time was our kids were going to feel the residual effects of it for years and years to come. And that is happening, and it is amazing. And the Education Foundation is so happy to be a part of that journey. We are community members. We live in this area. We have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews that come through this district, and we are so proud to be a part of it. So thank you all for doing what y'all do, because y'all are the real heroes, all of you that we see here. And this is the least that we can do, and we're so glad to be able to do it. So 19 grants, $61,000 in change. that will be presented very soon in our typical fashion, and we do it for you and because of you, but also with you. So thank you very much. And if I could have my foundation directors up here.
Tracy, you want to get
Just the foundation. Wait, yes, no.
We had a Christmas party today at work. Oh, sorry, sir.
You're good.
All right.
It's very confusing time.
Let me know when you're ready. You good?
Find a home. Find a
Get on
home.
that side. We're on that side. Come on.
Very good.
I know.
Go here,
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Right here. There we go.
1, 2, and 3. Got it. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Don't spin it all in one place.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure. We appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, they don't know by now.
Thank you so much for this.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely, Leo. Thank you.
So, Nikki, I hope your board can join us Thursday. We have the topping ceremony at 11 o'clock where students from each of our campuses are going to sign the last beam that goes on the facility. So I hope you can join us to sign your name and take part in that. At the end of January, we're looking to take possession of the 40 acres, and you'll start seeing construction for the new junior high. And then after the first of the year, we're going to talk to the community about finishing the job with a new bond to completely renovate the high school, because the CTE Center is going to be a Taj Mahal, and we want it's a 40-plus year school that needs renovated. We need a new band hall, and we need a multi-purpose, and possibly a field house. So some really exciting conversations that we're going to have with the board to see if the community wants for our students to keep pace with our neighbors. And we're going to do our best to communicate that these are needs versus wants. So thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Mr. President, members of the board, it is the administration's recommendation that the board approve the Tolosa Midway Education Foundation donation in the amount of $61,326 as presented.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Leo seconds it. Paul Arriaga votes yes. Leo does, I vote yes. Mr. Chapa?
Yes.
Brian Boone?
Yes.
Kim Boone?
Yes.
Lottie Jimenez?
Yes.
All right. Vote carries 6-0. Great job. All right, next action item here is discuss and consider approval of School Health Advisory Council, SHAC, committee members.
Mr. President, members of the board, as you know, I was out of town last week, and unfortunately, some things got by me, and this is one of them. I approved the agenda with last year's SHAC members included instead of this year's, so I'm looking through preparing, I think it was yesterday or Saturday, and I'm going, wait a minute. Some of these people should not be on here. Totally my fault. But we do have the new SHAC members that Dr. Schaub is going to present to you.
And actually, these have all been verified.
And then I'll turn it over to her.
Okay, so for this year, we have a majority of our members coming back. And we didn't want to change completely because there was a lot of unleft business from last year's Student Health Advisory Committee meeting. And so they kind of know where we left off. And so we wanted to do them, in the right way, bringing them on so that we continue what was left undone last year. Now, after this year, we will continue to nominate new members for 2 more years, but for this year, we wanted to at least keep the majority of our members intact. And so, because there was a lot of unfinished, conversations that we had last year. One in particular was some of the curriculum for adolescents at the middle school. So those are the conversations that we want to bring back to the table. And then also this year, we want to also nominate a chair and a co-chair to lead the Student Health Advisory Committee, because that's the way it should be. And so Melanie and myself will be on the committee, but we will be like non-voting members. But, so that's the very first thing that we will do when we meet in January. We will nominate our chair and our co-chair. And then from there, they will set the agenda, and that agenda will be vetted through Mr. Van Matry, and then Melanie and I will help lead those discussions. So these are our new members. They've been all verified, and they're all excited to be a part of our SHOT committee for the 25-26 school year. Any questions?
Good. Thank you, Dr. Shah. Mr. President, members of the board, it is the administration's recommendation that the board approve the School Health Advisory Council SHOT committee members' amended list as presented.
Okay, you have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Leo make the motion.
List.
I'll second that.
Mr. Chapo seconded. Paul Riaga will vote yes. Leo Gonzalez.
I'll vote yes.
Rick Chapa.
Yes.
Brian Boone.
Yes.
Tim Boone.
Yes.
Juan Jimenez.
Yes.
Vote carries 6-0. All right, more good stuff coming up. Next one is discuss and consider TM Virtual Academy and second reading of amendments to EIC local.
Mr. President, members of the board, our leader of the Virtual Academy is coaching soccer right now. Mr. Alvarado has seen a need. We know that Mr. Martinez Coach Martinez has some health issues. And prior to becoming a principal, Mr. Alvarado was a very accomplished soccer coach. So he came to me, and I had some acute reservations because high school principal's a full-time job. But he was worried about the kids, and it's a 3-month commitment. So we're going to take care of our kids, and so I want you to know why he's not here. He's not home watching Monday Night Football. He's taking care of our soccer team, and I really commend him for stepping up and doing that, because he is a very good soccer coach as well as a terrific high school principal. So in lieu of that, we have Dr. Sham, and I'm going to let her.
Okay, yeah, I'm not as good as Gabe, but I will do that. But absolutely, we have his back, and, we told Gabe, whatever you need, we are there for you, hands-on, whatever you need. So, which brings us to this board agenda. So the last time we met, you guys gave us the go-ahead, and so we were super excited about that. We listened to your concerns about some of the stipulations concerning our students here in the district. So we listened to you, and we made some modifications to the EIC policy. In addition, once we got the go-ahead, we started, working on, marketing. I will say right now it's a little slow. But before I go on, do y'all have any other concerns, as this is our second reading?
Nothing's changed since the first
Nothing
reading.
has changed. But I would like to give you an update on what has happened since the last time. So since the last time we've had the go-ahead, we've been working with 2 companies trying to get, what's going to be best for our students in terms of courses that our students that will be doing the virtual online. So we've met with Edmentum, which you've met Karina Alanis. We've had them come over and do a couple of presentations so far. This past week, we had the opportunity to meet with Subject AI, very similar to what Edmentum does. And so we had a really good conversation. kind of giving them, like what our needs are and what we need for our students. So we're going to have another conversation. We have not yet made a final decision on who will be the actual vendor that we will be going for the virtual online school. In terms of marketing, that has been one of our areas of concern, is just getting the word outside of our district. We did attend an event in Brownsville. We met with Edmentum, and they invited us to this big event that they were having in the Valley. So it was myself, Fig, and Lamar Cardenas. So we headed out there, and we started marketing. And it was a really good experience because it gave us an opportunity to kind of like figure out what we need to do on our end to better market the program. In the Valley, we would be partnering with Texas Southmost College. And so we didn't have that information out there, so that was kind of like, we were kind of like writing down our notes, things that we need to make sure that wherever we're marketing is that we make sure we connect with that partnership, that those students would be attending that particular junior college. So there's a lot of learning opportunities with that particular event that we attended. And so right now, we had a virtual town hall meeting this past Saturday. I'll be honest with you, the numbers were very, very low. Again, I think it's just getting the word out there. We do have another one scheduled for tomorrow. I will be Gabe, he did the one on Saturday. I will be doing the one tomorrow because he's having a soccer game. So, but we just gotta get the word out there. I think right now we have about 6 that have actually committed, and I think we have one from like Decatur. I think we have one from the Valley. So it's getting out there, and I really truly believe that when people hear about it and they actually get to participate, I'm sure that the word will get out. So we're just, we're going to keep on pushing and getting the word out there, and we're not going to let this get away from us. And of course, I think in the fall, when we do hopefully get the LASSO grant, I think that will also give us more opportunity to market our program. So right now, this is basically just an update. We're still on it. And we're still super excited about the program, and so are a lot of people. It's just getting that word out there. And hopefully maybe after the holidays, semester grades come out and they're thinking, okay, maybe we need to go in a different way. Okay? Any questions?
Okay, I tried to get in to the virtual town hall last night, and it said call ended, but my technology skills aren't the
Was it
greatest. Yeah, and I'm thinking, Saturday night at 7 o'clock,
Yeah.
not a prime.
I know, and we did, we
Prime
thought about that, so.
So is there like a recording, like if somebody wanted to go to that town hall, but they couldn't, is it recorded that they can see it later, kind of like what he was saying? It's prime time, so is there any
Mine
way to
said
do that?
call ended
Yeah, I don't know, but that's a really good question. I will ask Rosie
for tomorrow.
for tomorrow that we could record it and just have it on our website for those that are not able to.
Yeah, so that way they can go
Join.
back and, on their time.
Exactly. So we'll continue to do that. But like I said, right now, it's just really that marketing. I know that Gabe and Iris also did a radio interview. And
Larry
they,
Elizondo. Yeah.
so.
Actually, I was listening to that interview in Los Angeles when I was there. Isn't that incredible, right?
So we're trying to get it out there, and hopefully, like I said, we'll be able to report higher numbers at the next board meeting.
Well, not only that, just, and maybe the kids that are coming on, once they get started, them being their own testimony to how they're enjoying it, because kids are gonna relate to kids, right? Kind of like we're seeing how our kids are participating in a lot of stuff, and I love it because it's their school, so.
I'm okay with low numbers for the spring semester.
Absolutely.
Let's go slow before we go fast
Yes.
to see what hiccups we have.
But I'm glad you said that, because that's what we told Edmentum, when we were talking about marketing, that testimonies, you really need to hear it from parents, how it's
Yes.
benefited their child. You need to hear it from the students' perspective, how it's allowed them, to do you know, whatever, maybe they're pursuing, you know, a goal of being an Olympian, you know, and so, but kids need to hear it from other kids. It's all about the testimony. So I'm glad you brought that up because that was definitely one area that we did discuss.
Awesome.
Okay, Mr. President, members of the board, it's the administration's recommendation that the board approve the second reading of amendments to EIC local as presented.
All right, do you have a motion?
I'll make it. I move that we approve the amendments to the policy there that we have,
Okay.
EIC local policy.
I'll second that.
Second. All right, Mario Yagovich, yes. Leo Gonzalez? I'll vote yes. Mr. Chapa?
Yes.
Brian Boone?
Yes.
Kim Boone?
Yes.
Marty Jimenez?
Yes.
Carry 6-0. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. All right, the next one is discuss and consider approval of food services equipment bid.
Mr. President, members of the board, we're going to spend some of that food service fund balance account. Mr. Hernandez?
President, member of the board, good evening. For this presentation, I also have Mr. Bill Wilson, the architect in the audience, and I've got Ed Clash with Barcom Construction. All right, just a brief recap. It's been well over a year that we've been working on this project. It's been countless hours documenting all our equipment, mapping everything in the kitchens, and getting everything that we needed to get replaced. We went to get all this in a bid packet. Mr. Wilson worked hard on that. So on October 14th, we issued out the bid packet, a little bit the cart before the horse. On October the 20th at the board meeting, y'all approved the criteria for this selection. So you did that on October the 20th. November the 4th, we had a pre-bid meeting. In this room, we had a conference. We invited all the contractors that were gonna bid to come look at the facilities. And then on December 2nd, we had a bid opening. We had two firms submit qualifying bids, both Barcom and South Texas Builders. We've had experience with both companies good. And we went through the qualifications, as you can see in your board book. The qualifications, 50% were the points with the qualifications, and Barcom had a slight edge on that, 445 to 405. And then on the cost proposal, the other 50%, South Texas Builders had a slight lead on that because they had a lower price than Barcom. But the overall selection, the reason we went with Barcom is because the completion date. Once all the equipment's in, they can complete the project in 90 days, and South Texas Builder was looking at 210 days. So that's the reason we went with them. The steps going forward after this, if the board approves it tonight, we'll get the contract signed by the end of this week. We'll move forward, we'll get the equipment ordered, and hopefully before the end of, just some of these things are long lead items, but for the most part, we should have quite a bit of the equipment installed before the end of the school. In this project, what was awarded for the $1.8 million, there was 3 items. One was just equipment replacement, the equipment that needed to be replaced. Also, there was a refrigerator, a commodity refrigerator. It's going to be installed, a freezer at the primary. Currently, we've only got the building freezers, and if something happens, we're struggling to get everything moved to another campus, and there's very limited space, and we have to pack it in. This commodity freezer will allow us to order more commodities and safely protect it. It'll have a backup generator to it and everything, so if power outages, storm, stuff like that, our foods will be safe. Previous hurricane events, we've had to move our food items to the port. It's just time consuming and having to get all that food moved and everything to protect it. And then the third alternate was shelving, stainless steel shelving for the freezers, the storage rooms and everything. We looked at doing it in-house because you would think, but by going out to bid, we got a little bit more competitive pricing on the shelving in hopes of saving a little money that way. So those are the 3 items that will get replaced with this. Are there any questions for myself or Mr. Wilson? No.
So the long lead items are, how long lead are they? Like months?
We'll find out. Some of them are, I guess, about 2 to 3 months for some of the freezer equipment.
Yeah, the generator is the longest lead item on the project. And most of the kitchen equipment inside the kitchens is, basically what I would call plug and play. We're gonna remove a piece of equipment, we're gonna put a new one in its spot. And frankly, you've gotten your money's worth out of a lot of this equipment. I mean, we were, as we compiled the drawings on primary school as an example, you moved existing equipment into that primary school when it was constructed 20-plus years ago. So I mean, so some of this
We
equipment
took
is
equipment from Tolosa Road School to the
well over
primary
20
area.
years old. I mean, so you've gotten your money's worth out of a lot of this equipment. Some of it is not operational now, some of it is not used now. I mean, for instance, you don't cook fried foods in schools anymore. We work very closely with your kitchen folks and.
I'm thinking more of
They
from
would
the
like some
aspect
fried
of,
food.
Yeah, it's like,
they're 90 days, the other one's 270 days. There's no demob fee and remob fee. If they have to wait 3 months for us to get this freezer and they gotta come back in 3 months, there's no extra cost for them to come back, right?
No.
Okay.
The way it's set up is that we're gonna be prepped for the freezer. The pad's gonna be done, the generator pad will be ready, everything will be ready, and once the cooler sets, the generator's the one that's gonna set, so all we do is hook it up.
Okay.
There's no remote fee for that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we weren't gonna get hit with that.
Ms. Chapa, there's an ice maker in it for ACC.
Like, so if they come and they set up all their equipment, and then they finish, and they say, well, we're waiting on these big, whatever, refrigerators.
Right.
And they leave, and then they come back to install the refrigerator, they say, well, we gotta remobilize
Okay.
and charge you for that. I just wanna make sure there's none of
And
that.
they've done that in the past, you've noticed that?
I've seen that with other companies, but it sounds like
Yeah.
they've got that covered.
Yeah, this is pretty much an equipment replacement kind of project. I mean, the most significant construction, if you will, in this is gonna be the exterior the freezer unit. And so that's really, they're gonna have to get out there and tear out concrete and pour a
Is it the
foundation.
primary?
Do all
Yes,
that.
sir.
Yeah, but it'll operate without a generator. The generator's just a backup protection. So we don't anticipate that that's gonna, while that will have more on-site construction than people just pulling out a piece of equipment and plugging a new one in, we still, it's gonna be, the 90 days is gonna be so much less disruptive on your school operations. So.
And that also is trying to comply with some of the time off that your students have.
Right.
And some after hours, after 2:30, when the students are not there. We took that all in consideration.
Cool. And Bill, you don't see during the plug and play replace a disruption in serving our kids lunch?
No, they're gonna be either working after your food, once your kitchen staff is gone for the day, then we'll allow them to come in and work after kitchen work's done and food service is done. But most of their work's gonna be done when you guys have breaks. Yeah.
Good deal.
Now, the future phases of work are gonna be a lot more disruptive, but this one's gonna be pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, members of the board, it is the administration's recommendation that the board authorize a contract for the Tolosa Midway ISD kitchen upgrades at various campuses project with Barcom Commercial, Inc. of Corpus Christi, Texas, for the base bid and bid alternatives, numbers 1, 2, and 3, for the amount of $1,868,000 as presented.
All right, we have a motion. Brian?
I make the motion that we authorize a contract for the TMISD kitchen upgrades at various campuses, project with Barcom Commercial Incorporated of Corpus Christi, Texas, for the base bid and bid alternates number 1, 2, and 3 for the amount of $1,868,000.
All right, second.
I'll second that.
Mr. Chapa. Paul Arriaga votes yes. Leo Gonzalez. Rick Chapa.
Yes.
Brian Boone.
Yes.
Kim Boone.
Yes.
Marty Jimenez. All right, carries 6-0. Thank you. Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We'll get
you.
to work.
Merry Christmas.
Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
I have a question though for Ms. Chapa. Is it cubed ice or crushed ice?
Let's get both.
We'll take what
Because
we
ask
can get,
Philip,
sir.
there's a difference.
There's a big
I'll
difference.
tell you the story, there's a difference.
We don't need to tell stories.
We'll wait till after.
Yeah.
So wait for after the meeting.
We don't need to tell. Good stuff.
Coach, the only thing I'm gonna say is, ACC doesn't need to like wrap the ice around people's ankles.
Mr. Carroll denied my crushed ice when I was athletic director. I'm like, Philip, he said, ice is ice. And I said, no, it's not.
And karma has come back.
Everybody gets Sonic Ice.
That's funny.
You hear that? Everybody gets Sonic Ice.
That's right.
I like that better.
Next one here is discuss and consider resolution regarding public purpose and compensating employees on early release day. Ms. Riggs?
Good evening, trustees. This has kind of turned into somewhat of a housekeeping item. So we have a couple of early releases this year. We had one on November 7th, and then we have another one on May 21st of 2026. When we have an early release, we allow our exempt staff, which is all our teachers, our contractual administrators, to leave early. However, due to the Fair Labor Standards Act, we're really not allowed to allow our non-exempt staff, which is our paraprofessionals, our clerical staff, to leave early because that would be considered a gift of public funds. However, by issuing a public purpose resolution by the board, we are able to allow the staff to leave early and compensate them for their hours. And we ask that you approve the resolution tonight. By not doing so and having some employees stay and others leave, we have issues of inequity, employee morale, and things like this. So this would allow staff to leave early. Is there any questions?
Yeah, but if the teachers leave, how can the paraprofessionals stay if the teacher's gone? That would be good for everybody to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
why we want, but we can't do it on our own. We need your support.
I've got a question. How about administrators? Are they allowed to leave?
They are.
No, I missed my question.
They are. They are. They don't, but they are.
So they can leave when teachers leave?
They can leave when teachers leave.
You heard that, right?
Typically, what we say, as long as we make sure that our students have arrived home and safely, we finish up our duties, we're able to release.
Well, I remember when work with audience. Oh, no. That's good.
So this includes exactly who, Mr.
Another karma.
What exactly does that include? Paraprofessionals?
Nice story.
That's almost everyone campus-based, and then the district administration.
Okay, and that's like for everybody?
Yes, the clerical staff, paraprofessionals, district support staff, the people in this building.
So basically, this resolution covers everybody else that were not covered under the teacher's resolution to get paid, right?
Come on. Says,
Is there
do you get out too?
Yes, to answer your question, yes.
She's not included in that?
Ms. Booker and her team is included. Her
She's
assessment
included.
staff, yes.
I may be included, but that doesn't mean I get to leave.
Just want to make sure your staff was included and
Yeah,
you
my
were
staff is
included.
included, yeah.
Okay.
That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. President, members of the board, it is the administration's recommendation that the board approve the resolution regarding public purpose and compensating employees on early release days as presented.
All right, you have to read it first. Oh, yes, I have to read the resolution, right?
Yes.
Attaboy, Leo, you should be right here. Tag here.
Leo's on it.
Leo's on it. All right.
Just today. Just today.
Man, there's so much honesty today.
Everybody's on a roll today. Here we go. Resolution of Board of the Board of Trustees of Tuloso Midway Independent School District regarding specific early release days. Whereas at a board meeting held on January 27, 2025, the Board of Trustees approved the 2025-2026 Tuloso Midway ISD school calendar, and whereas on the following specific early release days, November 7, 2025, and May 21st, 2026, specific early release days, many employees have been or will be released early from work, and have not or will not be required to work their full hours on those designated days. And whereas the Board of Trustees acknowledges that our employees are typically assigned to work 40 hours per week and on specific early release days have been or will be instructed to work less than their typical work week through circumstances beyond their control. And whereas employees who are instructed to leave work early may suffer a loss of pay unless the work days and hours are made up at a later date. The board concludes that a need exists to address wage payments for these employees. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees concludes that continuing wage payments to all impacted employees for the specific early release days serves the public purposes of maintaining morale, reducing turnover, and ensuring continuity of district staffing. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorizes continue wage payments to all non-exempt employees that have been or will be released early from work on the specific early release days. Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees delegates to the superintendent the authority to update employee work calendars and pay all impacted employees full compensation without charging the hours against the impacted employee's personal leave for this day based on this action of the Board of Trustees. In the event other actions are needed to fulfill the purposes of this resolution, the superintendent is hereby authorized to take other such action. The authority granted by this resolution effective for the specific days listed above for the 2025-2026 school year only. Resolved this 15th day of December 2025. All right, so now, do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion that the Board of Trustees approve the public purpose resolution regarding specific early release days.
Okay. Second? Leo, second? All right, Paul Arriaga votes yes. Leo Gonzalez? Yes. Rick Choppa?
Yes.
Brian Boone?
Yes.
Kim Boone?
Yes.
Marty Jimenez? All right, carries 6-0. All right, the next action item here we have is discuss and consider first reading of TASB Policy Update 126.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is the biggest update I've ever seen. It's and aligned finally with what happened in the legislature a few months ago. In fact, it's so big that it would have taken us over an hour to watch the video. So since there's no action on this, and there's 27 local policies for consideration, none of which I see as controversial at all are aligned with legal. Ms. Castillo is going to give you a link, and at your own time and convenience until the end of January, which is the next time we're going to meet, you can preview the video. I think that's a much better use of your time. If you want to see the hour video right now, we can certainly do that. Thank you. But I think there's some really significant changes that we've been living by since September 1. And this memorializes those through board policy. So that would be my recommendation.
I make a motion to take your recommendation.
Okay?
I'll second that.
All right, so that was board action only, or no action?
No action.
The next one is discuss and consider delegation of hiring authority to superintendent for all contractual staff below the level of administrator.
Mr. President, members of the board, let me walk you through this board item. Because I've changed the way I feel about it. Tolosa Midway's been the only district that I've worked as a superintendent that I haven't had the authority to hire teachers. There are significant advantages to not waiting for a board meeting when a teacher is ready to be hired. I think last year we lost 3 at the high school. And the principals and the directors came to me, and they were pretty aggressive because I told them, is that a fairly? Yes. Okay. I didn't want to embellish.
You're not.
And I said, you know, guys, I'm uncomfortable going to the board and asking for this because I think historically, it hasn't been considered. So I said, look, I'll put an agenda item on the agenda, but I'm going to tell the board this is coming from the principals and the directors and not the superintendent. And then I got to thinking that, wait a minute, I make recommendations to you on the best interest of the district, not whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable. And why in the world would I delegate that to them when I truly believe this is in the best interest of our district? And so Ms. Riggs has prepared a presentation for you, and I think it's very well done. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, so essentially what we're going to be asking from you tonight is a update to Board Policy DC Local, which talks about the hiring authority of contracted personnel. So, why we're here, as Mr. Van Matry said, as our leadership team meets, this is one thing that has come up periodically. We feel very adamant when we find qualified personnel for our positions, we need to act fast. We need to be able to attract, we need to be able to issue contracts and get staff on board so that we don't have any vacancies, so that we don't have any interruptions to our instructional program. We need to make sure that our students have the best possible folks in front of them teaching them on a day-to-day. And so we are asking, like I said, the reason we're here is our current hiring timeline kind of hinders that, having to wait until the next board meeting. I know tonight we're gonna recommend 2 people to you. I think I've had one recommendation for 2.5 weeks that we've kind of been waiting. There are times where the day of the board meeting, I get a recommendation from a principal to hire someone, but due to our internal policies and procedures and the things that we have to do, I can't bring them to the board to you that day. So then we have to wait until the next month before we can get those folks approved. And in the meantime, that is an entire month that candidate can be interviewed and hired on the spot by other school districts, and we need to be competitive and be able to do the same thing. We want to make sure, and we're bringing this to you now because we want to make sure that as we go into our hiring season, the peak season, as early as February, I'm going to start receiving resignations. And we want to be able to post those jobs, make sure that we post them within the 5 days that are now required. But we also want to make sure that we start filling before other school districts start getting their vacancies and they start looking to hire for their staff. So I want to talk about the current superintendent authority. So what's in the box is actually verbatim. It's a snippet of what you find in DC Local. So the policy currently says, the superintendent has sole authority to make recommendations to the board regarding the selection of contractual personnel. The board retains final authority for employment of contractual personnel. So right now, Mr. Van Matry, without your authority, he can hire and fire non-contractual staff. So that's like our maintenance, our auxiliary staff, anyone who doesn't get a contract. However, you retain the final authority for hiring a teacher, for hiring a DIAG, anyone who would go on a contract. And that also includes our non-Chapter 21 contracts, which is, our SLPs, our some of our directors. And so Mr. Van Matry has to wait until the next regular board meeting or whenever we do have a special called board meeting to bring any recommendations to you. And like I said, sometimes we're waiting as far as four weeks. And then if for any reason a board meeting is canceled and we have to postpone, sometimes we postpone till the next month, or sometimes we postpone for 1 or 2 weeks. That's an additional 1 or 2 weeks that individual could choose to go to another district. Now, when we do vet our candidates, we do offer a letter of intent, but a letter of intent is not binding. As we know, it's very competitive. Currently, the statewide demand for certified teachers continues to outpace the availability of teachers. Where our biggest areas of concern are specialized teachers. Where, dual language is one of our biggest initiatives that we have. We take very pride in DLI, but we want to be able to make sure that we have the bilingual teachers that can continue that can teach those courses. Special ed is huge. This year there was, starting September 1st, even more regulations on what criteria and what certifications a special ed teacher has. if we're gonna have an adaptive ed, a life skills teacher, they have to have not only a special ed certification, but they also have to have a certification in the core subjects that they're teaching. That is also becoming harder to find. So we want to make sure that as soon as we identify a special education teacher who has the credentials to teach the class, that we scoop them up and that we get them on a contract. And when people are typically looking for a job, they want to know who actually has a job that they can offer me where I can sign my name on the bottom line and I know that I have a position. If I'm coming from out of town or if I'm thinking of finally making that move, they're going to go to the person who has that ability to say, I can offer you a contract today and you are on contract. Versus someone that says, we're really interested, we want to take you to the board, however, we just need you to wait about 3 or 4 weeks before we can get you on a contract. That person's gonna go to the person who has a real bona fide, I know that next year I have a position. That's who they're gonna wanna go to. So us not having that flexibility kind of puts us behind, and then we're kind of waiting. And like Mr. Van Matry said, last year we did have 3 teachers that it was, I did sign that letter of intent and I really want to be with TM, but I found another position here, or they offered to do this for me. And we need to be able to come to the table and say, we can do the same, because you are valuable and you are what's ultimately best for our children. And so that is why it is super important that we're able to make those moves, or that Mr. Van Matry is able to make those moves. One of the biggest areas, and I know I've already talked about special ed, but it is special ed. It is becoming harder and harder to find those teachers. And without them, our staff, our current special ed staff is amazing. But without them, without those case managers, their caseloads get higher. They're gonna get burned out. They're gonna wanna leave because they're gonna say, you're not getting me any help. So if I go over here, I can get an offer almost immediately and I can get on contract. And if they're within their 45 penalty-free day and they're at the end of their contract, they can do that. And we don't want them to do that. We wanna be able to attract, we wanna be able to retain our current staff. And we don't wanna have to pay contractors. Ms. Booker, last year we didn't have DIAG, so we had to get contractors. And contractors are great, but they don't know our kids. It's great as a parent when a DIAG calls and tells you, I saw so-and-so today and they're doing this and they've accomplished this. They create those bonds, and we want to be able to do that. So finding DIAGs, finding the assessment staff, we need to be able to get them on board as soon as possible. Also, one of the biggest things is when we don't have that consistency, they don't know the TM way, you're just having contractors, that's where we find ourselves in positions where we may not be compliant with what we need to do. And special education has so much compliance. It's amazing how many I's need to be dotted and T's need to be crossed. So just with special ed alone, it's vital that we're able to get the staff that we need. Now, in looking, what do other school districts do? So I picked 6 school districts. The first one I want to talk about is CCISD, because we do lose teachers to CCISD. We gain teachers from CCISD. Ultimately, these are verbatim, straight from their DC local, that they all have posted on their website. CCISD, the board retains final authority for employment of level 1 administrators, as reflected in DCB exhibit. So I went and I looked at DCB exhibit, and that's basically the executive cabinet. Those are the ones that the board retains authority. But for all other contractual personnel, that delegation has been given to the superintendent. At Calallen ISD, the board delegates to the superintendent final authority to employ contractual personnel classified below that of a campus administrator. So basically, if you're an AP or principal or director and above, at Calallen ISD, the board hires those, they get the final approval, but anyone below that, the assessment staff, the teachers, interventionists, anyone who's on contract, that has been delegated to the superintendent. At Flower Bluff ISD, the board delegates to the superintendent final hiring authority for the employment of classroom teachers, librarians, and nurses. Very similar at GP ISD, where they've also delegated the final approval to their superintendent. They have a few other positions there stated. West Oso, the same thing. They did everyone other than an administrator. So any campus administrator, district administrator, the board retains that. But other than that, the superintendent has the authority to issue a contract. Probably the most restricted one came from Robstown ISD. They have only given the authority for the superintendent to hire classroom teachers from April 1st to September 1st.
So why is that, why do they have it like that?
That's just what their board chose. So everywhere else, the superintendent retains the authority to hire contract personnel below a administrator.
I would recommend that we keep the language pretty simple, kind of like the other school did and like CCISD did. Just because you start getting into naming the jobs and then,
Yeah,
oh, well, I
yes.
don't see that job listed. And we don't need any delay, so.
At your place, you'll find this one-page sheet which carries our DC logo. I've taken the liberty to contact TASB, and they have already given us kind of a red line, I guess it's really a blue line, of what the new policy would look like
Okay, cool.
for your review. So overall, what that would look like is we are requesting that the superintendent be able to, or we're requesting that the board retain final approval over anything above a campus administrator. So principals, assistant principals, directors, executive directors, assistant superintendents, deputy superintendents, that has to be approved by you, and Mr. Van Matry would not be able to issue any contracts. However, anything below that, we are requesting that Mr. Van Matry have the authority to go ahead and issue contracts. We understand that there are still things that we need to stay compliant with, making sure that there's no nepotism, making sure that anyone that we hire has the proper certifications, follows the appropriate background checks. We would still ensure that all that gets vetted prior to issuing a contract. And so we do feel that there should be some sort of accountability to us. I feel like y'all should have an idea of who's being hired. So under this, we would also add a line that states that we, at the very next regular board meeting, would come to you with a list of all the people that we've hired, so that you can see the who, the what, the why, and we could come up with what that would look like. But you would get informed at the very next regular board meeting as to who was hired under this authority. You would still retain authority for, hiring, for adopting the compensation plan, for any terminations, non-renewals, adopting the budget. We're not looking to make any changes. This is just so that as we find the appropriate candidates, we can go ahead and offer a contract and get them on board. And this would significantly improve our efficiency in hiring staff.
I know that, I know we can't put people's names and connections because that's like employee information, right? But if it was gonna be like a month before we met again, it would just be nice to know, hey, English 1 position was filled, just letting us know. We don't need to know the person's name, but just knowing that that position got filled because we know how
Yeah, I
information
think
travels
we
so
can do that,
quickly.
But if the connections is only between us, why couldn't we have the name, like of who the teacher is?
It's an email
like-
that goes out that it could go out further than just us. It's a protecting employees, right?
Or is it that still that, because I'll be honest, I would like to know who is gonna be hired on for what position and who it is. I personally would like to know that, but that's just me.
We can get an interpretation from legal on what can and can't be sent. We want to be cognizant of what they call a walking quorum. I'm curious, we have 4 of the 5 principals. Anything you want to tell the board?
I'll start. This would be tremendously helpful. I can tell you what I don't like personally is that we had a teacher resign mid-year. And we found somebody immediately. And Mrs. Riggs had to hold a whole entire sub-training for that one individual teacher. And although she was doing the work of a teacher, she had to do it for 3 weeks without getting compensated as a teacher. She had to do it as a sub until we were able to pass her contract. And I really just don't think that's fair. You know, if you're doing the job of a teacher, you should be able to start immediately, especially in a situation like that. I can tell you, we've lost several teachers over the summer because we can't lock them into a contract. And that, it's devastating, especially like in the areas of special ed. But even in, you know, from athletic purposes for coaching, it really hurts you there. You've got a really good head coach. But in the meantime, he's fielding offers for 2 or 3 weeks because all we've been able to give him is a piece of paper that says, we're gonna go to board and we might hire you. And that doesn't work in anybody's, world anymore. They want the sure thing.
So,
Understandable.
to add to that, I just heard a story before this board meeting started of a young teacher who just started, Miss Amendes' daughter, if you don't mind me saying the story. She was tied between Alice and Ray High School. And if it wasn't for quick action and a competitive offer, she had 2 choices, and she had to make a competitive choice. And we have a lot of young people out there who go to their parents, and maybe your kids, saying, Dad, what should I do? I got these 2 offers. And as a dad, if my kid came to me, I got these 2 offers, they're both pretty good, which one's guaranteed? Because you gotta take care of your family now. This is a big decision. So what's in my hand, what's physically can happen, is what I would recommend to my child. So just saying that is we have to stay competitive. We have so many great programs, we have great compensation, but as a parent, if my kid was applying, I'd be like, what is the guaranteed money? Who is gonna get you hired so you can start your career? And sometimes it's that first position that is the most exciting. So we wanna be a part of that conversation.
And just to kind of piggyback off of that, you know, our hiring season is already stressful as it is. It's testing season, it's hiring season, and it's just a constant chase of looking for someone and making sure you're in contact with them because they haven't gone before the board yet. And wait, you're talking to someone else, and let me call them again, and let me just make sure they're still interested. And it's just a constant calling, and, you know, it's a big constraint on our time to be constantly, you know, calling the candidates over and over during that time that we're waiting for them to get hired to make sure that they're still interested and they're still available. And we do lose a lot of candidates because of the time constraints. One, I'm gonna come with you today. I've had to wait a whole semester because it was the same situation, like Mr. Alvarado said, where we offered sub-salary and that wasn't acceptable. And I'm just coming today with a candidate a semester later.
And I can tell you, you know, this summer, you know, we missed out on our first pick for counselor, second pick for counselor, and third pick for counselor for this very reason. Because there's just a shortage of counselors everywhere. And so we offered he was a young man who was the counselor at a middle school in CCISD. He ended up taking a position at the high school because we couldn't offer him a job. And so we ended up going down the line, and it makes it tough. We're missing out on talent. And, go ahead.
Ms. Riggs and I went to a few job fairs last year, and people were going around doing full-fledged interviews and giving contracts out there, and we couldn't compete with that.
And I think from a special education point of view, it's critical because we are definitely losing great diags and case manager hiring because they're able to sign and not, many times they're offered bonuses in other districts. And if we can just say, hey, we've got a job, you're secure. And I think it's important what you said, contracted case diags are great in case managers, but they don't know our students. And we want to hire somebody that's invested in our community, invested in our families.
The last diag I hired, she had to wait an entire month because there was a glitch in the online application system and there was like one little tiny checkbox that she hadn't completed. And she figured it out the day after the board meeting. And then we had to wait an entire month to get her on. And she was moving from out of town.
I'd like to add something. Go ahead. No.
My friend applied for the swimming coach at the high school, and he really, really wanted it, but he couldn't wait a long time until y'all offered him the contract. He went to Dallas, 6-day school. They offered him right then and there. He signed with them.
Ms. Riggs mentioned the 45-day window in the summer. Like they have 45 days before the first day of school to get out of their old contract. If you do the math on our first day of school in that with CCISD, and let's say it's the biggest district near us, we have days to scoop them up. And if we can't be competitive, they're not gonna resign from a job that they're not guaranteed for another one. That's crazy. So
Our
that
early start.
is a huge window, if we can have this authority, that we could get great educators to come in and support our kids.
I'd like to just add a little bit. I've been in your shoes. I know what it's all about. Again, it's just one vote here. But this is 100 years late. I mean, this is overdue. Oh, my gosh, it used to drive me nuts when we had job fair. We used to have these job fairs. We had quality people that would sit down and talk to us, and I'd say, hire them right now. Don't let them leave the door. And we couldn't. We couldn't.
Why was it like that? Why?
Because it's the law.
The law.
TMISD, you couldn't do that, correct? You just couldn't do that.
You have to follow.
That's why they're
policy.
asking us to do this. This is overdue. I mean, my gosh.
Policy needs to be changed.
We lost so many people. I've been there. I mean, remember that. Oh, my gosh.
It's been there forever.
I can relate to. I've tried to hire coaches at coaching school, and same thing, job fair.
Yeah.
The other districts could do that, so it does put us at a disadvantage, and we all know how hard it is to find qualified, certified teachers anyway, so when you get the chance, you've gotta jump on it.
Yeah.
We definitely need to stop limiting the people that are trying to hire these amazing educators and diags and everything else that we need. This is a win-win for our kids and our staff.
Yep. Well, thank you. It's first reading, and we'll bring it back in January, and I think we'll make some people very happy. Because it's really not a Steve Van Matry thing. It's a district thing, and
Why do you have to wait? Why don't we just vote on it? Go through
It has to go through first and second.
Yeah, business is fast these days. We gotta be fast with it.
yes.
Yeah, we're not a smartphone. Wish we were.
Thank you. This says-
Yeah.
I think that was put on there. Do you know why there's a motion to approve this tonight?
I thought that we would be able to do it on one reading, so I apologize.
Are we allowed to do it on one reading?
I believe so, sir. Mhm.
Oh, well, there you go, Monty.
I was just saying that.
Merry
I'm like-
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
I think you're right, that we generally do just as a policy procedure, but it's not board policy that we have to have two readings.
Because I mean, if we're
I
all
say we
in
move
Let's rock
forward.
and roll.
I'm on board with Monty.
Because if they all desperately think
Yeah,
that
we
this
need
is
to
the
do
best
it
thing,
now,
then
yeah.
why wait?
Okay.
And if we need to re-vote next time, we'll do it
There you
again.
go.
We have a job fair in January.
Mr. President,
What do I say?
it's the administration's recommendation. Hold on.
And we've already got retirees,
Okay.
you know, so it's great.
This-
This is what y'all really, really want then?
I've held them off for 3 years.
I'm like, if they really want it, they're all for it, let's do it.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. It is the administration's recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve the delegation of hiring authority to the superintendent for all contractual staff below the level of campus or district administrator as presented.
All right, we have a motion. Rick, you wanna make it?
Sure, I move that we give the authority to the superintendent for all contractual staff below level administrator.
All right, second. Mr. Booth.
Who's that? Who's second, right?
Mariaga votes yes. Leo Gonzalez.
Yes.
Rick Choppa.
Yes.
Brian Boone.
Yes.
Kim Boone.
Yes.
Bonnie Jimenez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries six.
Merry Christmas,
Congratulations.
guys.
Forever.
Yes.
Great job by all.
Hey, you don't have to do that.
All right, the next item is
To retrain themselves.
discuss and consider approval of consent agenda informational items. So the first one is check payment register. Everybody one is tax collection report.
This is getting smaller and smaller. Jesus.
Yeah, I meant to bring that up. Philip, I know this is Skyward, but is there any way we can increase the font?
I'm like, even with my glasses, I can't see.
We're trying to get a normal check register report. Yes, we're still working on it.
Okay, I'm
pleased.
glad you brought that up, because otherwise, we're gonna have to buy some magnifying glasses.
I'm like, even with mine, I can't see.
Philip is trying to save paper.
That is ridiculous.
Guys, look at how tiny that is.
Font that's
It's like, you
small.
can't barely see it, even with glasses.
All right, the next one is enrollment report. The next one is regular and special called board meeting minutes.
Mr. President, members of the board, it is the administration's recommendation that the board approve the consent agenda items as presented.
I'll make that motion.
All right, second by Leo. Leo's the financial guy, so if he seconds it, I feel good about it. I feel good about it. I can sleep tonight. All right, Paul Riaga votes yes. Leo Gonzalez?
Yes.
Rick Chapa?
Yes.
Brian Boone?
Yes.
Kim Boone?
Yes.
Marty Jimenez?
Yes.
All right, motion carries 6-0.
Hold up.
All right, so the next here we have is closed session. The board will convene in closed meeting as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act to discuss items allowed by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, 071 through 076, 082, 0821, 083, and 084. Anybody need a break? Keep rolling.
Let me go get some sweet tea real quick.
Okay.
Give me just a second.
Yep, we'll go 4 minutes.
You want some tea? You want some sweet
We'll come back at 7:10. All right, so we at 7:22, we are reconvening from closed session.
Mr. President, members of the board, it is recommended, it's the administration's recommendation that the Board of Trustees issue an educator probational contract for the remainder of the 2025-2026 school year as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Mr. Chapa, second. All right. Paul Riaga votes yes. Leo Gonzalez absent. Rick Chapa.
Yes.
Brian Boone.
Yes.
Kim Boone.
Yes.
Marty Jimenez.
Yes.
5-0.
Mr. President, members of the board, it's the administration's recommendation that the Board of Trustees issue a non-Chapter 21 contract for the remainder of the 25-26 school year as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Make the motion.
I'll second that.
That was for this one, that one. Oh, you did both?
They did both.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Kim seconded.
Yes.
Yes.
Was it Kim and Brian?
Paul Riaga votes yes. Leo Gonzalez absent. Rick Chapa.
Yes.
Brian Boone.
Yes.
Kim Boone.
Yes.
Marty Jimenez.
Yes.
5-0. Great job, everybody. All right, so next we have future meetings, January 26, 2026, regular board meeting. And next we have do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make that motion to adjourn the meeting.
Kim makes the motion,
Right,
seconded by Mr. Chapa. Paul Riaga votes yes. Leo Gonzalez absent. Rick Chapa,
Yes.
yes. Brian Boone,
Yes.
Kim Boone,
No, but I mean yes.
Marty Jimenez.
I guess so,
I guess so, we'll put that in there. All right, motion carries 5-0. Great job, everyone.
Great job.